Quick bit of trivia about me. I love dogs. And as a kid, we had 20 dogs. Yes, at the same time. See, we lived outside of Midland, Texas, had quite a bit of land. My aunt, who I was living with because my parents had moved out of state, she could never turn away a stray. So we had all these dogs. They kept building up. Now, we had horses, cats, tons of other animals, but it was the dogs that I truly loved. They were just so loyal, friendly. When I would go out for a run, they would follow me. But the point being is dogs are awesome. And in today's video, guys, I'm going to show you how dogs plus being a well-dressed man can take your attraction levels to a whole nother level. Now, the first study we're going to talk about is a 2015 study, and this studied cats, dogs, and dating preferences. Now, there were three key takeaways from this study, and the number one is that women in general love pet people, pet men especially. It shows oftentimes you're going to be patient, you're going to be empathetic, that you have a nurturing ability about you. Now, the second point in this study, this one was interesting, is that if you're a cat guy and you're dating a woman that loves dogs, there may be a little bit of animosity between the two, and she could actually like you less, and it's probably better if you didn't have animals. So I'm not saying it can't work out, and I would love to hear from some of you guys down in the comments if you've ever ran into this, where you're dating a woman, you find out, hey, she loves cats, you love dogs, and the date ends there. Now, the third point to take from this study is that women who are dog people oftentimes infer, they read into, if you own a dog, they're going to make a lot of assumptions about you, sometimes based off of the type of dog that you have and the way that you treat the dog, everything that goes into it. Partly because they're very empathetic. They actually have the animal. They know what it takes. They've got their preference. You know, if you own a poodle, if you own a pit bull, probably they're going to look at you differently. If you have a chihuahua, you know, I'm not going to say what it is, and they didn't get specifics about the animals, but it is something that, hey, she has judgments. She has certain beliefs. She has ways that she takes care of her animal, and she may make quick decisions about you based off of what she sees there. Study number two, and this comes out of the British Journal of Psychology. It was conducted in 2000, and what they saw is having a pet enhanced your fashion and made you more approachable. So this is how it worked. They actually had four groups. They had well-dressed men, not very well-dressed men. They had pet owners and non-pet owners, and they used dogs in this study. And so guys out there that were well-dressed compared to guys that were not well-dressed, yes, they were more approachable, more people said hi, more people interacted, more people had conversations with them. Then pet owners versus non-pet owners. If you're out walking your dog, you're going to have more people interact with you if you're not walking your dog. Same person. But here's where it gets really interesting. If you are well-dressed and you're walking your dog, you beat out all of them. So that combination right there was the most approachable. I think it was like by a factor of 3 that we saw people coming up, interacting, you know, just talking to you randomly about your dog. So if you're wanting to meet someone, you don't know her or him very well, then simply dress well and take your dog for a walk. Study number 3, this one was conducted in the year 2008, and what they measured is, are people willing to help you? Are they willing to give you money? Is she going to give you her number based off of if you are with an animal? So again, dogs were used in this study. Now, the first part of the study, they measured asking for money. They basically had a guy at a bus station. He didn't have money for a fare. In one case, he's just going up and asking people for money. In another case, he is asking for money with a dog. What they saw is that you're 3 times more likely. It went from like 10% of people gave the guy money to, when he had the dog, 30%. Now, what's really interesting here is that the amount of money he received also percentage-wise increased like 10% when he had the dog. Now, when it comes to getting her number. So this was, if you just simply ask a woman that is a stranger in a park and you're talking with her and then you ask for her number, only 10, it was less than 10%, it's like 9% of women would give a number. Here's where it gets crazy, is that if you have a dog, guess how many times you were more likely? 3 times. It went from 9% to almost 30% of the time. So you're wanting to get her number. You've been out walking your dog. Sometimes you see her when you're just out jogging. Make sure if you're going to interact and you're going to talk with that woman, you're going to ask her for her number so that you can follow up. You have your dog with you. You're 3 times more likely to get what you want. Study number 4, this was conducted in 2013, came out of the Journal of Evolutionary Psychology. And what they measured here is the difference a dog would make if you are a dad or a cad. So a dad, he's the nice guy. He is marriage material. He's the guy that women just look at. He's going to be a great provider. The cad, he's the player. He's the bad boy. He's the guy that, yeah, he may be great for an affair. He may be great for a short-term relationship, a one-night stand, but he's not someone that you want to actually have raise your kids. And so both of these guys, they actually presented, I think it was over 100 women, they presented them the different scenarios, different stories. Now, as we expected without dogs, cads were long-term attractive, not very much. Like, yeah, I'd want to have an affair with him, one-night stand, but I don't really want to, be with him for years because he's just not the kind of guy I'm going after. But when we put in the dog, guess what happened? For the dads, we saw no bump in increase in their long-term attractiveness. They were the same level that they had been before, which was, pretty attractive. But with the cads, they all of a sudden shot up and became much more attractive for a long-term relationship. If you're a bad boy and you want to come off as more attractive, go out there with your dog. Women instantly say, wow, look at this. They see something deeper in that you could be long-term potential and you have the benefit of being the bad boy. All right, guys. So if you want more, go to realmenrealstyle.com. I've got over 2,000 articles, many of them research backed, just like this one. I love studying the science of style. In fact, I talk a lot about it in my courses, in my personal image blueprint, my personal image system, Man's Guide to Style. I've got a lot of research backed articles. So if you're looking basically to be able to take action to improve your style, but you want to know a little bit more about the science behind it, I go into a lot more detail over in that. And you can always, I link to it in the description of this video. I'll link over to my website. I'll link to the particular article that has the research that I talked about in this video in particular. Now it's your turn. I want to hear from you down in the comments. Share with me your great stories about being out with your animal, maybe being able to interact with others, how having a pet has maybe improved your life. Guys, I love animals, and I want to dedicate this video to Gertie, the greatest wiener dog I ever knew. For the 12 years you were on earth, Gertie, you were loyal, you were protective, you were friendly. Well, kind of. I mean, you did bite my brother and you bit a neighbor and maybe some other people I don't know about. But you were always there when I couldn't finish my plate and I just would stick it under the table and you would lick that plate clean. Gertie, this video is dedicated to you and to all the other great animals and pets out there. I know as a pet lover, it's just something they make my life better. I just sometimes when no one else is around, my wife maybe doesn't even have time for me. My dogs and cats have always had time for me. So guys, take care. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Now be sure to sign up for email notifications. That way you can watch my videos when they first come out. Now, sometimes I offer exclusive deals that are time sensitive. So make sure that you never miss out on one by being part of the early notification squad.